Automatic printing. The A-Label program provides special functionality to make use of what we call an automatic print scheme. What we mean by an automatic print scheme is the ability to print many labels all at once, where the data for those labels comes from a special text file that you create. It is simpler and faster to do automatic printing from a database table, but that topic is covered in another help video. Here we will show how to create an automatic print scheme. Let's assume you have designed a folder label for your office that looks like the following. Suppose you need to print a batch of 50 labels like this, where the data for each label is different. You can use this particular label design as what we call an items template. If you open the View menu and select Show the Index Numbers and Field Names, you will see that each item on the label has an associated index number and field name. The index numbers start counting from 0 and provide a means to uniquely identify each object on a label design. Field names serve the same purpose, but field names are easier for humans to remember and work with. For this example, we have 4 objects on the label. The first 3 of these are text string objects, while the 4th object is a barcode. Note that each object has been given a different field name that corresponds to the meaning of that object. There is a folder title object, and a department name object, and a folder date object, and a folder barcode object. If you ever want to change the field names, you can right-click each item on the label, one at a time, and select the Properties menu. When the dialog box appears, you will see where you can type in or edit the field name for that item. In fact, the number shown in blue text just to the right of the field name edit box is the index number for the object. In general, you cannot edit index numbers, but you can edit and make up your own field names for each object. The only guiding principle is that for a given label design or template, each object should have a unique field name. After you edit or change any field names, you would want to save your template design. Of course, when you save a template design, you will want to give that design what we call a template key name. For this example, the template key name is Office Cat. Template key names should be short names in camel case that don't have spaces in the name. Next, we show the contents of a text file that is what we call a data file that goes with a template design. The first line in a data file should be the template design key name. In this example, it is Office Cat. The remaining lines in a data file should be in groups, where one group is separated from the next group by the line next label. This example data file contains 3 groups. Each group, including the last group, ends with the line next label. The content of each group consists of 4 data items. Now, if you wanted to manually edit this data file, you could just go in and change all the strings that start with your data item and change them to the data strings that should be printed. The advantage of having the field name at the start of each line is so you can know which item's data you are currently editing on each line. Just remember to only type in your data after leaving the colon character and 1 space following each field name. The data must all be on 1 line. You also need to write the line next label to terminate each separate label. By studying the following example data text file, you can quickly understand the format of any data file. The data file below contains the data for 5 labels, not 50, but you could add any number of additional labels to this text file and they would all print as part of one print job. When you actually perform automatic printing, you would first save the data file with a name like officecatdata.txt. Then you would normally open the File menu and further choose Open a Data File. When you do that and you choose the file officecatdata.txt, then you should see the information from the first label when you open that file. Then you would perform the actual print job by selecting File, Print a Data File, and then the program will continue. You don't need to reopen the data file because the program will remember the data file you previously opened. Thus, you should not select File, Print a Data File unless you have manually opened a data file first. Anytime you perform a print job, the program will prompt you with a dialog box like the following. This dialog box serves two purposes. First, it allows you to select the starting position of the first label on the first sheet. The default position is the first row in the first column, but you might change this if your printer contained a partially used sheet of labels. The second purpose is that you can tell the printer the order in which you want the labels printed. You can either print across the columns first or down the rows first. Perhaps you don't care about the label printing order, but the A-Label program gives you the chance to change the default print order. There is a subtle point about data files. The data text file does not have to contain or refer to all the field names that are in an item's template. When a data text file does not reference an object in the item's template, then that object will be printed as the same constant item on every label. It will appear as designed in the item's template file. Now let's discuss exactly what happens when you print a data file. For the above example scheme in particular, the program performs the following sequence of steps. First, the program will read the first line in the data file, officecatdata.txt, to get the key name. In this case, the key name is officecat. Second, the program will start in the templates folder and it will look for a file with the name officecatitemstemplate.txt. When found, the program will read and load the item's template. In fact, the search for a template design will look in all folders under the templates folder until it finds the first matching file. Third, the program will begin a loop in which it reads the remaining lines from the data file one line at a time. In the case of string objects, the program will replace the text message of each string with the data to the right of each colon character using the field names to determine which string to change. The text of barcode objects get replaced in a similar manner. Fourth, the program continues reading lines from the data file and making data replacements until it reads the line next label. Then it prints the current label. Fifth, the program continues looping back to step 4 until all the data has been read and all the labels are processed. The program will keep track of label sheets and it will automatically load blank label sheets as required. When it reads the last line in the file, next label, it will then print the last label and stop. The program remembers the position on the last sheet where it stopped printing. If you manually reload a partially used label sheet, the program can make full use of that sheet because it remembers where it stopped printing in the previous print job.